to some drivers, shall we? Thank you. I don't know where I'm supposed to sit, but we'll go over here. How about that? That's where Kim was. All right, let's talk about the Academy, and to kick things off, just give an overview of the F1 Academy and obviously your role as driver, but just what it means to the racing world and what is it? Alisha?
Yeah, well, firstly, hello everybody. Thank you so much for coming. It's incredible to see the turnout here. It's an awesome event. I think for me, F1 Academy serves a dual purpose. I think, firstly, it creates an opportunity for us to be role models, to inspire the next generation of young females to just realise that there's so many opportunities within motorsport to get involved, and STEM of other fields as well, whether that's from a driving perspective, but also, you know, as Katie mentioned, there's so many opportunities in engineering, mechanics, strategists, there's so many opportunities. So just by increasing that female representation, that will hopefully continue to increase the female participation within motorsport as a general. And secondly, I think F1 Academy provides an amazing opportunity for drivers who are, and people, young females who are already involved in motorsport, such as myself and Chloe. It gives us an opportunity to work with an F1 team, see how they operate within the pinnacle of the sport. And that is something that cannot be underestimated in terms of how much that experience can help develop a driver and how much that can progress our careers forwards. And after this season, I'm sure Chloe will agree, I strongly believe that the Red Bull Racing Academy programme is the best driver development programme in F1 Academy. They are not involved in F1 Academy as, you know, as a statement, for example, that they're there to actually help us, and they provide an environment for us to strive in, and they provide us with the tools that we need to progress our careers forward. So they're not just a logo on the car, they really do provide the support that we need.
Thank you, Alisha. And our first, if you're a long-time Women with Drive follower, if you go back to year one, we also had a podcast called Women Shifting Gears. And you may remember a 17-year-old named Chloe Chambers that came on our podcast and talked about her dreams and hopes of being a racing driver. And I would say 4 years later is now a 21-year-old. You're well along your way. But Chloe, as you enter into the conversation, what's the importance of a program dedicated to female drivers?
Yeah, I think this is something that a lot of people don't understand, or they understand the wrong idea of what F1 Academy is. And I think people assume that it's just to find a female and put her in an F1 car and job's done. But I think it's more than that. F1 Academy is very dedicated to getting women into motorsport when they're young, getting more drivers into a go-kart, and ultimately F1 is a numbers game, even for the guys. The amount of drivers that come into karting versus the amount that actually make it into Formula One is very, very small. So it's a lot of luck, along with obviously talent. Money is a big one. But the more that we can increase the amount of girls starting off racing in karts already, will just widen the pool to eventually find one or hopefully more to actually make it into F1 itself.
Alisha, what was your highlight of 2025?
Oh, great question. There's been loads, to be honest. I mean, motorsport is full of highs and lows. This year has been a very big learning curve for me. My first year in F1 Academy, you know, racing on a global platform as a support series to F1. It's been a dream come true. Many highs, many lows, as I mentioned, but I think the highlight would actually be the final race in Las Vegas, to be honest. Chloe won the race and I came second, so it was... Thank you. It was great to get a 1-2 result for the whole team as well, for Red Bull and Campos Racing, our operating race team. There's so much work goes into motorsport behind the scenes. Sure. It's a lot more than just the drivers. You know, we've got a huge amount of people behind us supporting us to be able to make us achieve the results. So to end the season like that with a 1-2, it was the perfect way to end the year.
Dare I ask you the same question?
So Alisha did take my answer. But mine's a little bit different because obviously Las Vegas was my home race. It was my last race. I never got the second home race in Miami. So technically it was the only home race with the normal grid, not the reverse grid race. So Vegas was mine.
That's awesome. What a memory, especially to cap off the year on. When we talk about this season and next season, what are your goals for 2026, Alisha?
For 2026, I'd love to be on the top step of the podium. That's the aim, obviously, to win the championship. I'm sure every other one of the 17 full-time drivers would say the same. You know, we're all racers. We all want to win. I've got no interest in finishing second, third, fourth, not at all. So I've learned so much this year. I've made mistakes along the way, admittedly, but I feel like it's made me grow as a person. I've took so much from those mistakes that I've made. I understand, you know, what's gone wrong when things have gone wrong, and I feel that I'm a much, much stronger, not only driver, but person sat here now than the driver and person who showed up to Shanghai at the start of the year. So I feel like if I can take everything that I've learned, put it into practice next year and get some results that reflect the amount of progress that I've made, then hopefully this time next year we'll be champion.
I love that. And maybe we'll have a new highlight.
Hopefully. I hope so.
Well, I do love that we had Katie Howell step on stage with us and kick off this panel, and we talk about the importance of sponsorships when it comes to motorsports and getting as much reps and seat time as possible as racing drivers. Obviously, we know that conversation is focused here on female drivers, but specifically with the Mobil partnership, how do you feel for both of you? How has that supported you? Obviously on track, but in a personal capacity as well. I've seen all of you spending the whole day together here today.
I think it's just really nice to be able to work with people who are trying to achieve the same thing, and you know, everybody in the Mobil crew is so super nice, and you know, it's really nice to be able to work with people who want to go out and win as well, just as much as you do.
Yeah, and for me, I think to be associated with a brand and have the support from a brand like Mobil One is just a dream come true. It's incredible. I mean, they've been involved in motorsport ever since the very beginning, so the amount of heritage that they have within the sport is really, really special, and from a driving perspective, that gives me a great confidence boost in knowing that I have support from such a big global brand. And also, I think it's Mobil One's support towards myself, towards Chloe, towards F1 Academy. It's testament to their dedication in promoting diversity and also in empowering the next generation of young females within the sport. So I think their sort of business ethos and philosophy totally aligns with what I believe in and what I'm also trying to achieve. So it's a great alignment, great partnership, and hopefully I can take them with me to the top step of the podium next year.
Well, we still got, I'd clap for that. Good job. I love it, Katie. We do have some more time with the drivers, so we're going to go a little off script. I just want to make sure we're okay with all of that. Good to go. I think one of the most important parts when we look at drivers, be it females, be it men that are competing, and really all athletes, when we look at the landscape of digital media, social media, the ability to represent yourself. As we start from the beginning for you guys and your image and your brand, Alisha, how did racing find you?
For me, it was sort of a fluke that I actually got involved in motorsport. I've always grown up with the influence of motorsport around me, as I'm sure most people in this room did. My dad always had F1 on the TV. I went to a few Grand Prix, the British Grand Prix at Silverstone at my home. But it was I just never realised that motorsport was actually a potential career avenue that I could pursue. Probably, in hindsight, just as a result of the lack of female representation as a whole. You know, watching F1, there was no female F1 drivers. There still isn't. Hopefully we can change that. But there was hardly any female engineers, hardly any females in the media. So I just never realised that I could get involved. But it was just the 6-week holidays from school. I was staying up with my grandparents, and they just thought it was a fun thing to do. They'd just take me to my local indoor track, karting. Had no idea what I was doing. I was very slow. It was pretty awful, but I just got hooked instantly. You know, that sense of adrenaline, that sense of freedom. I just loved it, and that's where it all stemmed from for me, really.
Chloe, your journey?
Yeah, I have a similar story. My dad was a big Formula One fan. My dad is actually British, so it's kind of a little bit more of a thing there, and especially back then. I mean, I don't think I knew anybody in the US who watched Formula One. And so I grew up watching F1 on weekends, and Yeah, my dad knew a lot about it. He was just very into the history, very into like drivers' backstories and that kind of thing. And this is pre-Drive to Survive, so it's when you actually had to do all the research like that. And I just told my dad one day that I wanted to drive, and he knew from all his research that go-karting is the way to get into motorsport, and he just took me to the kart track. And yeah, I just enjoyed it, and I really thought, like, you know, I want to go back, because I think I went in like November, so it was winter time, so the track closed, and I annoyed them so much during the winter time that they brought me back.
What does speed do to you?
I think I don't think necessarily speed is the thing that I enjoy most about racing. This sounds a bit crazy, but there comes a point where you get used to it. You get used to like the speed, so to say. The part about racing that I really enjoy is the competition of it, like the wheel to wheel, like first across the finish line kind of thing. I wasn't a big fan of like scoring points to win a champion or to win a game or whatever. I grew up playing like soccer and doing a bunch of other things. And then before I started racing cars, I was swimming. And swimming is a similar thing where it's you versus like other people in a race scenario. And racing is like that, but just like way more.
Little different speed.
A little bit different speed. And I just really enjoyed that style of competition, and just racing was like the maximum amount of that.
What's the addiction for you, Alisha?
I think what I love most about motorsport is obviously winning, succeeding, being on the top step of the podium. But I think something, I'm going to contradict myself now, but bear with me, I'll get there eventually. I think when a driver, say, when we win a race, when me and Chloe are on the podium, it's often the driver that takes all the limelight and takes all the spotlight, takes all the praise. We're the one that everybody's looking at. Whereas actually it's all the people behind the scenes, all the hard work that has gone on that nobody sees, that has given myself and Chloe the opportunity to be up there, to be fighting for wins, fighting for podiums. So I think I obviously love winning. I love taking all that praise and limelight, but equally, I love sharing success with my team of people, to be honest, and giving back to the team for how much hard work they put in, because it's our lives, you know. It started off as a hobby for me, but it's now very much a lifestyle, and it is, I know, for the rest of the drivers on the grid. It is for all my mechanics, my engineers, the whole team. It's the first thing we think about in the morning, the last thing that we think about at night. So to be able to succeed and give back to the team, that sense of satisfaction and that proud feeling that you get is what I'm addicted to.
You just hit on something really key of everything that happens beyond the track and outside of just the race. And there's an argument to be made, correct me if I'm wrong here, but a lot of your job is not in that race car. A lot of the job is hunting sponsors, is doing media, is working on your pitch deck, probably doing training. And I know there's many drivers in this room that I've even talked to over the last 2 days of, just what a stretch that is, not only personally, but emotionally, when things might be going in the best way for you. When you break down, I don't know if you could make a job description for a racing driver, but what are some of those, we know when you have the helmet on and what that specific job is, what are some of the parts of the job that we might not know about?
There's a lot. I mean, you can always get help in certain areas, so a lot of drivers will be managed by somebody, but even still, when you do have a manager, you're still doing a certain level of self-management still. So you kind of have to understand a little bit of the business side of it. Obviously, training is a big part, and especially in open wheel cars, where you don't have power steering. You have to cope with the G-forces, that kind of thing. So that's a big part of it, and that directly influences your performance on track. And of course, there are people to help with that. But ultimately, it's up to you to go to the gym and do the work. And then, I was also in school when I was racing. So I went to public school all the way through high school, and I graduated high school. And then I am still doing online school for college, so some drivers have to juggle that as well. So yeah, it's a bit of everything. You have to have kind of just a lot of general knowledge on things.
Alisha?
Yeah, I totally agree, to be honest. I think it does sound crazy, but I bet out of our whole year, we've probably spent 10% of the time in the car. Everything else is the preparation leading up to a race weekend. You know, my life this year has literally been gym and sim. That's basically what I've been doing. So we live in the gym, spend a lot of time in the gym, as Chloe mentioned, but the simulator is a big thing as well that we've been maximising the use of this year. Motorsport is quite unique, I'd say, from a sporting perspective, in that it's so difficult to train. I mean, if you do football or tennis or golf, you could probably just go in your back garden or just give it a little go, whereas there's so much more effort involved in getting a test day, for example. The funding behind it, the amount of people you need there, the organisation that's needed is huge just for one single day in a car. So there's a lot of work goes into the lead up of a race, and I honestly believe that the race is won or lost in terms of the preparation ahead of a race weekend. And we do have very limited running across a race weekend as well, to mention. On an F1 race weekend, a lot of the tracks are new to us. So Las Vegas, for example, we'd never been there before. We never did any laps. We had one 40-minute session before we then went into qualifying. So all that preparation work on the simulator, it's game-changing.
One of the things that I love about working in motorsports, television, and I know there's a lot of media members in the room as well, but talking to drivers after competition, especially immediately after, it's almost like I can still see your eyes moving as you're like recapping the race in real time. As we're speaking to you, good things happen on track, bad things happen on track. I found that drivers either have a memory like a gnat and they forget things and they show up at the next racetrack and don't even want to talk about it, or there are some that just replay it over and over and over. How do you find a balance? Let's go on this side first. How do you find a balance when the performance wasn't what you were searching for?
I think it kind of depends on the situation. I think if it was something that happened that was just out of your control, couldn't really do anything yourself, and the team couldn't do anything themselves to change it, I think that's one of the situations where you kind of just forget about it and move on. If there's nothing that you could have done to change that outcome, then there's no point really in just kind of letting it sit and letting it just replay in your mind. I had one of those weekends earlier this year where I just had a car mechanical failure. That was nothing that the team could have done. There's nothing I could have done, and it was just one of those moments where people were a bit surprised that I wasn't as upset as they had expected when I came back to the paddock. And I think it's just because I just understood that it was just a bad luck moment and there wasn't really anything anybody could have done about it. So, why let it sit and stew?
Yeah, and I think for me, I am a driver who dwells on things a lot, to be honest. Probably too much. It's something that I've worked a lot on this year. At the end of each race weekend, we actually have to submit a report to Red Bull, which outlines everything that happened, the balance of the car, what happened in the race, positives, weaknesses, everything, every aspect of the race weekend. And it takes me days to complete. I think Chloe has hers done on the Sunday night, straight after the race. I'm probably the Wednesday, Thursday, the week after that I get it done, because I pour my life and soul into these reports, because I believe it's the way that you learn, especially when things go wrong. I totally agree with Chloe. If something goes wrong that was in your control, it's obviously tough to take, but equally, especially in hindsight, looking back on this year, they've made me so much stronger. These mistakes that I've made, I've learnt from them. It'll enable me to make better decisions in the future. So it's a difficult one, trying to balance, obviously not dwell on it too much, but equally learn from it. And I think that is something that comes with experience as well.
All right, I got two things for you, because we've heard these today. Give yourself grace and protect your joy. Right? We heard those today. As we just talk about, throwing out words of advice, Chloe, I'll start with you, just because I went back and watched our podcast, by the way. What would you tell that 17-year-old?
I gotta remember what I was doing.
You were in high school.
I was in high school. Yeah. I wouldn't have wasted as much time applying to colleges when I knew that I was just gonna do it online, but whatever.
It was a good exercise.
I think I applied to like 10 schools. I think I would have just told myself to always just show my personality, like not to be super like straightforward, not be overly media trained. I think one thing that kind of set the entire team, the whole Campos trio, apart this year in F1 Academy is that we're funny, and I think you gotta let your personality out a little bit when you want to stand out. Otherwise, you're just another brick in the wall, and nobody really pays attention to you. So I think having that kind of self-awareness to let yourself out while also not going too far over the boundaries.
And to the person that discovered motorsports by accident, what would you say to her?
I think I actually heard somebody say a few weeks ago, actually, that this quote that stuck with me, and it says, "No one knows what you want except you, and no one will be as sorry as you if you don't get it." And I think that's really stuck with me, and I've thought about it a lot because I think it's really important to surround yourself with a group of people who you trust, who want the best for you, which I've absolutely got. There's a huge support network this year in both Campos and Red Bull Racing. But equally, I think you've got to have that inner belief and that inner determination within yourself in order to succeed. Because you've got to be comfortable in your own skin, and when you are, you're confident, and that's when you perform and do your best. So I think I tell my younger self just to have more faith and believe in myself more, definitely.
All right, I'm going to take a little faith in myself right now. I'm going to try a joke, okay? Everyone go like this. Knock, knock. Woo. How'd it go? Okay, I've always wanted to do that. I didn't know I was ever going to do that in front of a big group, but feel free to take it. We do have a couple more minutes, so I want to just talk about, as we're going forward, and I know that no one knows the challenges better than you two, but on your vision board, where is Alisha in 5 years?
An F1 driver.
Woohoo!
Mic drop, yeah.
Okay, yeah, well, I'd get yelled at if I did that, so, oh! Okay, all right. I don't know, I'm buying a lottery ticket.
Yeah, I think that's obviously the obvious answer to say. I think every young driver would want to do that. But equally, I am aware that motorsport is very much a results-based business. You've got to perform in order to be given the opportunity. So my immediate goal is to win F1 Academy next year, and then we'll see what happens from there.
For me, I just want to be winning races, winning championships. That's always been something that I've prioritized in any series that I race in, is just to make sure that I'm in the position where I at least have the ability to win races and championships. Of course, luck is a big thing in that, but if I do everything right and everything on the other side goes right, I will have the ability to win races and championships is what I always look for in a series.
I'm going to quote something that Cindy Sisson says a lot and that we hear throughout this room: the future is female. Nice job, ladies.